Afternoon, everyone, and welcome. Thank you for joining us for the Informer AI Community Conversation. On behalf of the Washington Informer, we're grateful to have you with us for what we hope will be a practical, honest, and community-centered, most of all, discussion about artificial intelligence and how it is impacting media and public trust. Now, I know I'm not the only person here who's definitely taken notice of how AI is already shaping everything from how information is created to how it's distributed and even how it's understood. And I'm definitely guilty of being tricked by a couple of deep fakes before. So I'm personally excited for today's conversation just so we can demystify that impact and ground it in real world experiences across journalism, business, and community leadership. So to help set the stage, we'll begin with a short introductory workshop that provides shared context for today's discussion. With that being said, I am pleased to welcome Sterling McKinley of Clarity AI Solutions, who will talk us through key AI concepts and offer practical skills to guide the conversation ahead. Sterling, I'll turn it over to you.
Jada, thanks for having me here. So I'm so excited to be here today talking about AI, and we're at a point in history where AI is changing everything. You see it in the news, you see it in the media. AI is really changing everything. But I want everyone to really take, a pause and realize where we're at now. I think we're experiencing a huge technological shift. If you go back in time, you think about things like the cell phone, you think about the automobile, the printing press. We're living through that right now, and it's imperative that everybody takes advantage of that and uses that, whether in your business, whether in your career, whether in your community, whether in grants, government. AI is touching everything. And I want to say that there's a lot of fear now about AI, what it can do, the mistakes it's going to make, potential fraud and abuse. That's all true. That's going to happen. But at its core, I want you to remember that AI is a tool. AI is a tool. It is not the enemy. The enemy, if you want to call it that, is other companies, other organizations that are going to use AI to move faster and smarter than you are. So this is the time for you to use AI. And I say start out like this. Make a list. What are 3 to 5 things in your job that are key, but you don't like doing? And then ask AI, log into Claude, log into Copilot or Gemini and ask it, how can AI help me do this task and get it done? Because that's what it's all about, using AI as an assistant to help you get things done smarter and also even faster. I also believe that AI is the end of guessing. We guess about so many things, what time, what medication, what grants, what area needs certain services. But if you think about it, we live in an age now where digital is everywhere. Everything is tracked. We have emails, we have texts, we have phone calls, we have PDFs, we have videos, everything. But we're not making the most of that information. I firmly believe that in the world right now, there's a lot of problems, both big and small. But guess what? The answers are already here. We have the answers, and the answers are hidden in our data. We have now to use AI to extract information from that data. For example, if you run a nonprofit, you can upload your quarterly reports, your client feedback summaries to a tool like Gemini or Notebook LM and ask it questions about that data and pull that. So you don't have to guess about your next service, about your next product, where you should put your money at. The data is good to tell you. So we're moving to a time now where you want to pair your gut instincts with data. And that's what AI can really do. It will help you sift through information at scale and help you understand what data and what points need to be done. Now, I think talking about AI, we can't talk about the safety concerns. People are scared about AI. When you say AI, the first thing we think about is Terminator and robots taking over the world. And yes, there is some things to be concerned about. And I say, like every technology, there are people that are used to do bad things. Let's take your car. Cars are fabulous. They've changed the world, how we get around, how we move, how we shop, live, and work. But guess what? Somebody can drive a car drunk and they can hit somebody and cause an accident. That is a result of driving. But driving has so many positive benefits. I think we have to keep that in mind. And we also need to set up rules to safeguard AI and make sure you use it responsibly. So in your daily life, as you use AI, would encourage you, one, to use it with caution. So first, you want to fact check it. And this is called the human in the loop approach. People think AI is this magical button that you just press a button like your microwave or the washing machine, and you come back an hour later to heat up meal or to wash clothes. AI doesn't work like that. You have to give it clear instructions on what you want it to do to achieve those. I like to say the better the input, the better the output. I'll share a funny story. So I have a son, he was 3 years old, and one day I was making lunch for him, and I noticed he was a little ashy, a little skin was dry, and I told him to go in the bathroom and put him to lotion. And he comes out, and he's covered head to toe with lotion, and I laughed. But I thought about that's the way that many people are using AI tools. They're saying, create a summary, create a post for me, create a document, create a proposal, but they're not really thinking about giving it clear instructions. So I would say you always want to make sure that you are giving AI clear instructions what you want. So before you take that output from AI and you put in social media, you put it in other places, you want to make sure that it is accurate, that it's saying the right things. You want to check the things like the time, the date, the color, the shape, all those things, make sure they're right. Next, you make sure it's free of bias. In this community of colors, that's something that we should be concerned about. Making sure that it's saying things that are true, not false, not stereotypes. And also make sure that the data that you're feeding to AI is clean data. It's free of bias and free of errors. Because if you put in data that's not clean, you're going to get bad results. So make sure the data you're pulling from is clean. And also, you can ask AI to tell you what is the source, give it the citations and where you got the information from, and you can fact check it. And the last thing I will say when using AI is just make sure you're not sharing any sensitive information because it is a tool. It is something that has to be safeguarded. I think those are some of the key steps that you AI safe defensively. And to close out, I'll just say this. AI is affecting everything. A lot of people say that this is your AI, but AI is already here. It's already working quality behind the scenes, behind your favorite applications, behind your email, your GPS, your Spotify, streaming services, whatever you use, it's already here. But now is the time that you must make AI work for what you're doing. And I don't want to scare anybody, but you don't have long. We all have heard of digital divide and bad news, but they're getting wider and wider. I predict I would say 24 to 48 months, the gap is going to be insurmountable. So now is the time to lean in with AI. And you don't have to be an expert. You can just use it every day in your life. You can ask the questions, make mistakes. And AI is one of those tools that the more you use it, the more it makes sense to you, the more you understand of how I can use this tool to make my job, to make my career or what I ever do work faster and also smarter. So do this. I would commit to using AI every day, at least 3 times. That could be writing a prompt. That could be asking it a question, asking it to draft the email, asking it to look at this proposal for me and summarize it into key points. It could be summarizing meeting notes. But the more you use AI, the more natural it's going to become. And one last thing, I'm going to caution you that there's no rule book to AI. A lot of people want a rule book, and AI is turning everything on its head. Normally with computers, you ask a computer a question, you get an answer. But now with AI, you can collaborate. You can have a conversation with AI. You can ask the question, and then ask a follow-up question. And that's amazing. So you want to keep that in mind. But commit to using AI every day and finding ways to use it in your business. Because trust me, no matter what business, what vertical industry you're in, AI is having an effect. And my hope for you is that you don't let some startup, somebody else come along using AI that's going to move faster and move smarter than you are. So make a commitment to use AI every day because it's already here and it's so powerful. Use it and make it work for you and your business.
Thank you, Sterling, for that grounding overview. You definitely raised some fine points that I'm looking forward to us exploring a little bit deeper in this conversation today. And before we do that, I do want to take a moment to thank our various sponsors who helped make today's discussion possible. First, starting with the Greater Washington Black Chamber of Commerce. Thank you for your partnership and leadership in helping bring this event together and ensuring that this conversation is not just in this space, but a region-wide conversation for businesses and community stakeholders. For, as I found out earlier today, the NAACP Image Award nominated Word in Black. Thank you for sharing your expertise and for contributing through Liz's participation, which we'll get to in a second, but overall just helping amplify this event through your promotion and networks. It means so much to us. And lastly, but definitely not least, well, second to last, not least, Trusting News. We're very grateful for your ongoing work, not only in 2025, but as we imagine moving forward, your guidance, learning, and research as it pertains to the best practices, for AI have been extremely pivotal for us setting up this event. And going forward, your insights will continue to inform how local newsrooms approach this very careful and responsible moment. And lastly, but certainly not least, to the Local Media Association, thank you for your continued support and partnership as we explore sustainable, forward-looking methods for local journalism. With that being said, it is my great pleasure to introduce Aisha Bond, President of the Greater Washington Black Chamber of Commerce, who will share brief remarks on AI and its implications for business and entrepreneurship. Aisha? Oh, you're muted, Aisha.
Can you hear me
There we
now?
go.
There we go. Hello, everyone.
Yes,
Thank
we
you for
can.
having me. It's incredibly exciting to be here and to be having this conversation. I was just listening to Sterling, and I have to say, so many of the thoughts and I guess the intention behind the Chamber's efforts and programs really echoes some of the things that Sterling was saying. I want to start by giving you guys a little story,
Absolutely.
if I may, a little anecdotal moment. Last year, and I'm just coming off of the CES conference, the largest tech conference, certainly in North America. It's a massive, huge tech conference where people are having all kinds of conversations, obviously, but also showcasing a lot of new technology, startups, et cetera. I mean, there's just something there for everyone. I'm just coming from that conference last week, and I was there last year where I was on a panel discussing AI and these kinds of topics. And one of the things that I said last year that I have held true moving forward and that I bring to this audience as well is something I said spontaneously on the stage. And they asked me, how do you feel about AI taking positions from others? Or is it a tool that could be threatening? Or is it a tool we should be celebrating? And I said, I like to think about it as yay I instead of AI, because AI has in many ways um, come with some connotations, particularly for those who are not already tech savvy or who are not already on top of and are well informed about all tech nuances, et cetera, which I think is many of us. It's certainly me. I am constantly in a learning space around technology. But having been at CES and having had some conversations then, and now the deeper conversations that I have had now, I certainly started to understand that this is something we should be enthusiastic about, which is why I said, yay, I. And we all kind of had a good laugh about that. But I hold on to that because I want to impart upon this community and all of the communities that you go on further to discuss AI and other technological advancements with, that we should have enthusiasm around embracing it. Another quote that I continue to live by at large is something author Ash says, which is start where you are, use what you have, do what you can, which is what I resonated in Sterling's conversation, which is like, listen, this is big. There's a lot happening, and it's bigger than most of us. But if we demystify the process or take sort of small bites where we stand and start to utilize it where we can and where it makes sense, our learning, our understanding, and our pathways will grow. So I want to emphasize that. I want to say also, every year I come back from CES, not necessarily with new knowledge, but with new words that I know I need to look up, right? So sometimes it's just a matter of knowing what you don't know so that you can spend time delving into those spaces, exploring that work, and finding reliable resources to help you advance in those spaces. I hope that when you all are thinking about technology, that you will find that the Greater Washington, D.C. Black Chamber is also a resource to you. We are thinking quite a bit, certainly about bringing productivity tools, if nothing else, to our membership and to the business community here in the this greater Washington, D.C. area and beyond. We are working diligently behind the scenes to figure out how we bring some of those things to you all in curriculum form, in conversation form like this, and in other forms that are meaningful. And so we invite everybody to be a part of that conversation with us. And I'm very excited, as all of you all, just to hear from all of the panelists and the people that are here with us today. So thank you again for having me and having the Chamber as a part of this very meaningful moment.
Thank you so much, Aisha. We appreciate you joining us and your pivotal insights. I do believe next we're going to kick it to our moderator of today's conversation, Howard.
Here. Hey, what's going
Oh,
on, everybody? What's going on? So,
oh wow.
first, yeah. So, so why do I have this VR headset? And Jada, you're doing an amazing job moderating. Thank you, Aisha,
Oh,
to my
thanks.
president of the Greater Washington Black Chamber of Commerce. It's an honor to be under your leadership. And also thank you, Sterling, for being here today as we worked in the community and done some amazing things that we'll talk about during this conversation. My name is Howard John. I represent this thing called Black Meta Agency. And our mission is to create a pipeline of 1 million BIPOC men and women in the emerging tech space, which includes AI, virtual reality, robotics, and biotech and other industries. And so what makes me prepared to have this conversation is because I have been training DC residents and DC startups in AI for the past 2 years and cohorts of 30 or more, as well as working with grants like MBDA, Department of Labor to train women in tech and also to empower small businesses through technology. And so during that time, I've experienced a lot of very interesting conversations and moments where we're empowering stakeholders from around the country, from New York to South Carolina to even DC and Maryland. And it's always interesting people's reaction once they understand the power of AI, but also it's interesting once they understand the power of AI for the pro and the con. And so today we're going to have a conversation that discusses those pros and cons as it relates to community empowerment, development, the impact of business industries such as media, such as education, workforce development, and other industries that all revolve around advancing technologies. We are standing at a pivotal moment where AI is not just some distant future, it's reshaping how we work, learn, create, and organize. It's influencing who gets hired, who gets funded, who gets their stories told, and which neighborhoods can bear the opportunity cost, but also the opportunity advantages of technological progress. According to McKinsey, AI could contribute to 13 trillion jobs to the global economy by 2030. Goldman Sachs projects the AI market alone will reach $1.8 trillion. We're witnessing one of the largest wealth transfers in human history, and right now, communities of color are less than 2% of the AI companies and receive less than 1% of venture capital funding in the space. So the question isn't whether AI would transform our world. The question is who would benefit, who would decide, who builds, and who bears the cost. So as an educator, and my background is teaching and learning. While I was a professor, a teacher at a public school and private school level, I like to do three things when I discuss any topic, especially something as important as AI. We like to inform, we like to expose, and engage. Inform, we want to ground us in real data, real impacts, and opportunities. Expose people to different use cases, both also different implications that may come from AIs and incorporation into different models and communities. And lastly, you want to engage people by letting them know this is how you leverage this technology. And here are some areas you should be concerned about for both improving the way you work, but also protecting the integrity of your community. We've assembled a powerful panel of people that reflect various perspectives, some we agree with and some we may not agree with, as it relates to AI builders, storytellers, learners, community members. We have a hot topics moment of the conversation, so we want to hear some of the most controversial topics in AI, as we understand that controversial talking points gets the people going, but it creates conversation and dialogue. Throughout our discussion, we encourage you to submit questions via chat, and we'll reserve time at the end to address your questions and hear directly from our panelists about the work and how you can stay connected to them. So let me get into the introductions. Right now, I will bring up Taylor Frazier McCullum. She's our community advocate. She's a powerful example of what organized community action can achieve. Taylor is a community advocate with the Party for Socialism and Liberation who led a grassroots movement campaign to stop a proposed data center in Landover, Maryland. Her Change.org petition garnered her over 22,000 signatures and sparked a countrywide moratorium on new data centers. Taylor's work shows how everyday people can shape policy, protect their communities, and demand accountability. Welcome, Taylor.
How you
Welcome,
doing?
Taylor.
Thank
All
you.
right.
And that's a
Thank you.
county-wide moratorium. Sorry, just want to make sure.
A countywide. Thank you so much for that
Yes.
correction. All right. Next, we have Sydney Goitia-Doran. Sydney's the editor-in-chief of the Hilltop and a student at Howard University. She represents the future of journalism. Shout out to you. Sydney is a junior journalism major and environmental studies major, a 2025 White House Correspondents Association Scholar, and editor-in-chief of the Hilltop, one of the oldest Black collegiate newspapers in the country. From reporting roots to leadership in the newsroom, Sydney brings a sharp focus on environmental and social justice, a commitment to storytelling that matters. Thank you, Sydney, for taking time out of your busy college schedule to be here today.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Marlon Avery, which is somebody I follow on social media, and he's a fellow techie. Sits at the intersection of AI business and community impact. Marlon is a Gen AI and Voice AI strategist and founder and CEO of AI Impact and VoicePath. He's trained over 10,000 professionals, led Azure OpenAI bootcamps for Microsoft, partnered with Google on national AI literacy initiatives, and builds HIPAA-grade voice AI systems that cut cost and workload across major industries. Marlon is known for making AI practical, profitable, and responsible. Welcome, Marlon.
I appreciate it. Glad to be here.
All right. Next, we have Miss Liz Courquet-Lesaulnier, Managing Director of Word in Black. She's a nationally respected journalist and media leader and the managing director of Word in Black and has reported on racial justice, education, health, and culture for outlets such as Ebony, BuzzFeed, and the Huffington Post. She previously served as the founding managing editor of Shondaland.com and has spent her career elevating equity centered on storytelling with depth, credibility, and impact. Welcome, Liz. Next, we have Eric Brown Jr. Eric Brown is the founder of Elevate Coaching and Consulting. He moves from AI from ambition to real adoption. Eric is a senior solutions AI engineer for one of the leading companies in the nation, which we'll call Microsoft, where he advises Fortune 500 companies, public sector teams, and mission-driven organizations. Eric specializes in helping teams move beyond stalled pilots to trusted scalable AI, always keeping people, purpose, and real outcomes at the center of innovation. Welcome, Eric.
Happy to be here.
All right. So we can get right to the conversation. Our first conversation is going to focus on our personal and professional relationship to AI. According to McKinsey's 2024 State of AI report, 65% of organizations now regularly use generative AI, near double the previous year. Yet adoption seems deeply uneven. Black professionals report 23% lower access to AI training opportunities compared to their white counterparts. And this is a toss-up question to any of the panelists. From your personal and professional perspective, how do you currently relate to AI? And secondly, where are you engaging with it in your work, studies, or advocacies? Or where do you feel the most excitement or hesitation?
I'd love to jump in. Thank you so much for having us. This is fantastic to be here. So, I have a very fraught relationship with AI, as I'm sure a lot of us do. Jeffrey Hinton, who is the godfather of artificial intelligence, said a little bit ago that there's a 10 to 20% chance that artificial intelligence will kill us. And I don't know about you, but if there was a person that someone said, hey, go sit in this room, there's a 20% chance that he's going to kill you, I would not go sit in that room. There is that reality, number one. Number two, last year my sister started, talking about how her light bill was going up a ton. And she's like, I don't know why. And I said, I bet there's an AI data center being built next to you. She's like, no, I haven't heard anything about it. Well, come to find out, after her light bill went from, basically almost tripled, that the largest AI data center is being built about, 5 miles down the road from her. Okay. We have
Wow.
seen what is happening in Memphis with AI data centers there. And working in the Black press, I cannot say how conflicted I am knowing that we may use AI for, generating headlines, that we may use AI for transcription purposes, knowing that that could potentially be killing and harming my own people. That is a very difficult position to be in, and it's the reality that we're in. I also think a lot about just the way that ICE currently is using artificial intelligence. Every time we see them holding up that phone to somebody, I'm like, this is not the cancer, solving, you know, future that we were promised. And so that's
Mhm.
what makes me nervous. And I always say it's not AI that is taking jobs, it is people making a decision to fire you on the basis of AI. AI is just a tool. I think one of y'all said that it is just a tool. But I think that we have a lot of questions that we need to ask because we can use it. I think there's ways that we can use it to make our jobs easier. But also, if I know that this could potentially kill my people because the data centers are being put in Black communities or close by it, do I really need to use this to write an email to somebody? An email that they probably ain't even going to read and don't want.
Hmm. Wow, that's incredible feedback. You gave a couple of hot takes around a 10 to 20% chance of something harming you. Would you go into that room? Very interesting. Any more feedback on that topic, on that question, everyone?
I just wanted to say that I think that it's very important when discussing AI that we look at the implications for the environment, like Liz was saying, just to piggyback a little. If we're going to be using countless gallons of water every day to produce emails, to produce videos, to make shorts, things that aren't pushing us forward as a society. Now, I'm all for AI when it's going to be used to make medical innovations or, take us to space or something, very innovative. I don't think that it's good that we're focusing on creating us as a product in our day-to-day lives. We are now the product that is being marketed. Our data is being marketed, it's being shared, it's being used. We know that it's being biased. We know that the AI has ability to kind of have a color blindness to it. It shows us what it wants us to see. So I think that that's an unfortunate part of AI, that we can't get the ethics side of it right. There's some unethical behavior in the AI world, and once that's corrected, once that's adjusted, once we find a way to remedy, I think that'll be better. We lead the world in data centers. We have over 5,400 in the U.S. and growing each day. So why do we need more? We were existing on social media prior to hyperscale data center existence, and I feel like we can continue to survive without that. So in my day to day, I try to minimize my AI generative usage as much as possible. Of course, it is beneficial if you're trying to do something and you want something that's cost effective. So sometimes I find myself torn between taking a cost effective solution, but knowing that the cheaper route is polluting the community and hurting us on the back end. So I just think that that's important to focus on. And I want to also highlight that we as a community, as African Americans, have to really think about what is being done to us by the AI, how they're putting it in our communities and how it's impacting us for the long term. Studies haven't been done for long term impacts of data centers being in our communities. So it's teeter tottering on how you ethically expand AI, but then I want us to wait a little bit and pause until quantum computing takes off, because that's less harmful on the environment, it's less impactful on communities. We can use transmission lines that already exist for data transmission. So I just think that if we slow down and scale back and didn't allow companies like Google, Meta, ChatGPT and OpenAI to sell us on these dreams, that we won't have this big bubble that could possibly burst.
Wow, wow. I mean, you hit on a couple of things. You even brought quantum into the conversation, which I love the conversation of quantum. And it sounds like you and Liz share very similar sentiments. What is an interesting sentiment that I took from that is that you have to oscillate between, hey, do I use AI or do I not use AI? And if I use AI, how much benefit is it, the benefit cost when it comes to the pollution versus the resource that I'm creating? I would like to hear some excitement, right? So I know Marlon and Eric are doing some incredible work in AI. I've worked with Eric on presenting to hundreds of people across the DMV, and he has actually been a champion in our company at Black Meta Agency. I'm curious on what is some excitement, what are some areas of interest and intrigue that gets you going and that's driving you to move forward in your industry as an expert, Marlon and Eric.
Yeah, I'll kick it off. So I'll start off this way. I'm a person in this industry that I play offense. My mind can't even think on the defensive side because I understand the impact that can be. And so the question I propose is, we may say, hey, well, let's wait and kind of figure these things out to see what the impact may be. My question is, will there be a bigger impact on something like the data centers, or will there be a bigger impact to our community without using it? Everything. Going back to McKinsey and Company also did a research and said that they understand now that generative AI is going to add anywhere from 2.2 to 4.4 trillion dollars to the economy. Let's break that down. ChatGPT, the user of ChatGPT, 50% of the users are of the Indian Asian community. 27% is of the Hispanic community. Whites are next, and then blacks are last when it comes to like 6%. What is the impact of us not using it? We can't afford in this current industry to not use it. I'm one of the individuals have been very, very early into the space. I built one of the first AI grant writers on top of GPT 2.5 right before GPT 3 launch. This was when OpenAI was invite only. So the minute I hit compile and the minute I saw the results of what is going to happen, I'm sure the world is about to change. Not our lives, everything, the world. Everything. I also partner with Microsoft, I partner with Google's, everything. I partner with Van Jones to do education. I've done over 100 workshops in the past 3 years and stuff. Yeah, we can't afford this moment to not miss.
Yeah.
It will be a greater impact and everything if we start to kind of lay back and sit back and everything. Because number one, we're already behind. Everything we don't have the privilege and everything to wait, everything to figure out what's going to happen when a community who looks like us is already behind. Not only just behind in technology in so many different levels. Everything. If you want to take this back to education, we're talking about a tool now that has the ability to help some of our children read better, learn math quicker, be more interested in sciences and everything. And so I think the consistent conversation around what it may be in the biases and everything, and not kind of just going to lean into the practitioner set because it's a tool for everything. I mean, we can have the same exact conversation hundreds of years ago with something just like money. It was individuals and everything who was connected to us. So at one point people thought electricity and everything was voodoo. And at this point, we just can't afford it, though. This will be a greater impact. If we just simply wait and not use it, than it will ever be when it comes to like data centers and health impact.
Well, Marlon, you definitely are in the field. And one thing about the work that we do, we love people that are actually outside doing the work. Sitting behind a computer and working, making apps and just building inside of your home is not enough. We have to touch the people. So I want to commend you on the work that you're doing with touching the people. And something that you touched on was very interesting. And I'll compliment that point of how far we are behind as a community. We're about 12 to 14 years behind as a community in technology, which means that we have a level of disenfranchisement from economics, from politics, from policy, and from other channels that can move where we are on the totem pole when it comes to wealth creation, wealth management, and wealth ownership. So the fact that we are at a crux where Taylor is very passionate about doing the work around this new phenomenon of AI and data center integration in our communities, we definitely have to look at both sides of the coin as it relates to how we're going to mobilize and leverage this very pivotal moment in history. Eric, I would love to hear about your excitement because of the work that you're doing as well.
Yeah, I've always had a passion for people, love for technology, and believe that technology can be a catalyst for innovation and equity. I also agree with some of the sentiment that's shared. I think that, as a community, it's important to be able to hold two truths. This is definitely a tool that can change generations, but at the same time, if not intentional about it, can widen the gaps that already exist. And so I think that it's not a moment of waiting and seeing what happens. I think it's an opportunity to be an architect and really leverage these tools for our dreams and ambitions. And I think that when we think about AI, it really has the ability to amplify intent. And some of the things that were shared is there are people who have good intent and there are people who have malicious intent. And I think that just waiting and seeing, hey, what are the people with malicious intent doing with AI? We can look at that all day, but it's like there's a lot of great people who have really brilliant ideas within our community to advance the things that we care about. And I think that when we think about advancement, is it advancement if we're not all advancing? And I think that for myself as a leader and as a technologist and leading organizations, I challenge leaders to say, hey, what are you doing to ensure that you're doing things in an equitable and a responsible way that also has a positive impact on not only your teams, their communities, and the community at large? I think that we have to continue to advocate for that because by default, people with ill intent may go and leverage it for their benefit. And so I think that, as a community, it's really important for us to say, what is the intent that we want to amplify? And how can AI augment our intelligence in a way to do things that we maybe weren't able to do effectively before? And so, thinking about the things that AI can do, I've been on this ride for a while as a technologist, and literally within the last 3 months, I mean, the things that you can do with the speed of thought. I can build a website, I can build an app in 2 minutes, less, fully functional, deployed. Think about all the people who had ideas written on napkins and your grandmother's poems. You can create a book today. And so I think it's really an opportunity to have that enthusiasm and say, yes, there's a lot of negative things that are going to happen in society, but what are the great things that we want to amplify? What are the things that we care about and how are we able to advocate for it, but also leverage this tool to do things at a faster rate than ever before?
So Eric, one thing you talked about was dreams and ambitions, and we can achieve those dreams and ambitions, and more readily. And so I want to pass the mic to Sydney. And Sydney, at Georgetown University, study found that 89% of college students have used AI tools for coursework, yet 56% report feeling uncertain about when such use crosses ethical lines. As an educator, I was speaking to a Howard University student last fall, Anacostia, and she said, Mr. Howard, I'm so challenged with my writing skills because I use AI for everything. And so for you, Sydney, how is AI changing how you learn, how you compete and prepare for the job market? And then the second part of that question is to the whole group. As employers and working professionals, how do you see this impacting the quality of talent and work output in the coming years? So Sydney, back to you. How do you see this changing how you learn and compete to enter a job market that is already tumultuous because of everything that we have going on and is very fast-paced and dynamic economy, to be gentle with my words?
Yeah, well, I appreciate that question. I think the answer lies in kind of my personal experience with AI. I think I lie somewhere in between where everyone kind of shared their sentiments are. Initially, I was very anti because, I'm a journalist, I'm an aspiring writer. And so I was completely against anything that could potentially take away from my voice. And I think the power lies in the people and in interviewing sources. And I feel like I was scared that AI would kind of take away from that. But then coming to college, and interviewing my peers and just observing them, that statistic definitely rang true. People use AI for everyday homework assignments, writing essays, even just something a pitch for a story or something. And then when I was promoted at the Hilltop, it was coming to fruition in my everyday life. A section editor might come to me with concerns that
Mhm.
somebody was using AI, in their writing or in their pitches. And then as a leader, I kind of had to navigate those types of conversations with people. And so with that, I kind of realized that this isn't something that's going away. So being afraid of it isn't going to help. What's going to help is, reading up on it and actually being trained on how to use it. I feel like it's a whole new language that you kind of have to learn. And that's something that where our training as journalists comes into play. Our generation, the way that we kind of adapt to new apps as they come in, we just kind of learn how to use a whole different type of platform for a purpose that the older generations might have difficulty navigating. I think that's coming into play here where we're going to have to start learning how do we use it ethically. And I mean, it's just like anything else where everybody has certain values and certain places where they will cross the line. So it is kind of an individual choice, but as a community, we need to be doing our part in terms of educating people, researching people who are at the forefront of AI so that no one is left in the dark. I think just ignoring it and saying this is something bad isn't going to be the solution. At the end of the day, we all have to play our part, just like something like recycling or reducing emissions. So I think it's important for us to kind of take it. And then in terms of the job market, um, I think a lot of people are afraid that it's taking away jobs, like people, entry level positions, like small tasks, things that would normally be reserved for like an intern or a low level person. People are afraid of that with AI. But I'm hoping that what happens with our generation is that we learn how to use it as a tool. And that also has to come from our employers. Like, what are their expectations? What would get you fired? Like, what is plagiarism versus just using it as a tool? So I think as the laws develop, as the standards develop, we're going to have to create those standards as a society. And then as individuals, we're going to have to push back where necessary, especially on behalf of our community. And then we're also going to have to decide, where's the push and pull of where we fit in all the different places.
Okay, Sydney, you hit the ball out of the park with this one, and you opened a idea or conversation that I have at the higher education level. I sit on the board for the University at Shady Grove, and they had a conversation where their professors were extremely anti-AI at that school, but other schools around the country have fully adopted it, which makes their students more competitive. Now we know that HBCUs, our Black colleges, have competitive challenges when it comes to access to professors, quality professors, access to technology, and et cetera. Where does the culture, from your experience that you're seeing your peers and even at Howard University, what's the tone on campus and amongst professors when it comes to the technology? And then also, do you have counterparts at other colleges, PWIs and majority institutions, who are using it? And what does that look like from your vantage point? Because you're our expertise when it comes to being a student.
Yeah, I think that's something that I've been really excited about at Howard because, well, obviously it's kind of like, the people on this panel, right? Like there's a split. Like I have one professor who's very traditional and old school, and like now he's having us list all of our, like when we submit an article for an assignment, we have to submit our source, their phone
You
number,
love it, right? You love it.
like,
It's exciting.
like, okay.
Yay.
Yeah. And like, I mean, for an ethical student, like I have no problem submitting my sources and
Right.
having him actually call them. But, if you're someone who likes to plagiarize and cut the corners, then good luck to you, I guess.
Yeah.
But then there's also people at Howard who are really excited to be on the forefront. Like I had another professor last semester who she's really pro like embracing it and being at the forefront. And so they've created a committee here at Howard where they're trying to get like an AI certification program started where students can take courses about ethical AI and how it relates to the Black community. So in that way, I'm really happy that Howard is on the forefront of it. I'm excited to learn more about it. I just assigned that story to a Hilltop reporter. So go read
Okay.
the Hilltop if you guys want to hear more about it once we publish that.
For
Um,
sure.
but yeah, I mean, I was an intern last summer at a local Black newspaper back home, the Seattle Medium. And I was really interested by how my boss and like the social media manager there used AI not for like writing, but for generating headlines that were appropriate for like um, the algorithm, like pushing stories to the top. So I think in that way, it can help us be more
Mm.
competitive where our stories might not be as mainstream. So I think there's a lot of interesting ways that we could be on the forefront of it. And I'm seeing it at Howard, like people aren't running away from it. So that's
Okay.
interesting.
So this is from Marlon and Air. It's a follow up to Sydney's points. You all work with a lot of different types of learners from all ages and backgrounds. Uh, what is the posture that you've seen at majority institutions, or let's focus on institutions because Sydney's here. We want to give some focus on education. What are you all seeing the difference in adoption at those communities versus our colleges and education communities?
Yeah, similar to what Sydney said, I think she made some outstanding points and stuff there. It's consistently a split. It's consistently a split of people wanting to learn it and integrate it, and you have people who are in kind of like standoffish and everything. I'll put it like this: artificial intelligence is now become the treadmill. It is the treadmill into the new AI-centric workforce that we're all going to live and work in. The beautiful thing about a treadmill is you can set your own speed. Yeah, you can set your own speed. So when it comes to learning, when it comes to practitionership, when it comes to building, so you may be someone like me who are building service for applications, doing applications, doing educational things like that. But you may be somebody like, hey, I just want to just kind of take it, hour a week, what it may be. The most important thing is to be on the treadmill. And I mean, this is what is about to happen, if you like it or not. Everything. This is about to become a new workforce. The only thing I was slightly disagree with what Sydney said is, so let me make this clear. I'm vice president of applied AI at JPMorgan. This is not a JP Morgan thought. This is Marlon and Avery thought. Do not wait on your leadership or your business to figure out this AI thing. They don't know what they're doing. I've called out several
Hot take, hot
CEOs.
take, hot take, hot take, hot take.
I've called out several CEOs. I've called out several companies for doing firings when the leadership does not what they do not know what they're doing. I have the privilege to sit on some of these calls when they're having their town halls and they're just using the word AI like it's a verb, like it's a noun, but not clearing no distinction to it. Not giving the people direction and everything to learn from it. The only thing you're saying is go learning, and that is it. This is also too a privilege of mine because then you hire somebody like my company to come in and do the education and training part of it too as well. But just consistently going, fortunately or unfortunately, so it comes back to the individual, the practitioner stuff, of the one and stuff who's looking in the mirror is to figure it out. Do not wait on your leadership. Do not wait on your manager and everything. Be a practitioner and everything. Figure out how to solve and build, your some of your most challenging things, as well. And so we're talking. You're listening to a person that did not graduate high school, got his GED without AI. Now, if you put me in this world now with artificial intelligence and everything, and the work ethic that I have to figure this thing out, to create a pipeline and everything, not only for myself, but the ones coming behind me, you guys are in trouble. I mean, this is where we're at.
Watch
This
out.
is a
Watch out.
life-changing moment for every last name on this call. We consistently talk about we're waiting for our share of the pie. Here's the ingredients.
Wow. Wow.
Make your own.
Wow. So
To add on
I'm
to
going
that,
to,
I
so Eric, you good?
yeah, I gotta add on to that. I love the analogy of the treadmill, and I think it goes into like within technology there is an adoption curve. You have people who are early adopters, you have people who are a late majority, you have laggers, and I think that in every organization, to the point, everyone's on that spectrum. And I have the same time. I'm going with IT teams at the biggest companies in the world, and I go and I give a survey of where do you fit in the adoption curve, and surprisingly, it's anonymous. People are in all areas of that, even people who are leading AI. And
Hmm.
so I think that, what that looks like varies, but like riding a bike, you have to actually do it. And so I think that, what's interesting though, in addition to that, it's really a mindset thing. It's not all technology, right? So when we think about this space that we're in, every year, LinkedIn does kind of a survey of what are the top skills. They have like a work index. And last year, the top three skills was interesting. And I think kind of gets it to the point I'm trying to make is that the number one skill was AI literacy. Number two was conflict resolution. And number three was adaptability. So adaptability and conflict resolution, when we're going through a transformation and disruption like we're going, it's more about like what are your ideas and how are you able to navigate and go through that, and then have context to how you're leveraging AI. And so whether you're in the school context, a small business, startup, etc., understanding like what is it that you're trying to do, and then being able to get hands-on experience is key. And I think a lot of institutions don't have that context. If you have a video that says, here's what AI is, and you just clicking through, you don't know AI. And so you have to actually have context and have hands-on experience. And so I think that the work that we're doing collectively is really important to say, hey, one, where does that context as a student, as someone that is sharing information globally, someone that's building applications, someone that's serving people, how does that play a role? But it's important that you have the character and the interpersonal skills to navigate that as well. And so I think that although we're talking a lot about AI and advancement, I'm thinking, how are we advancing ourselves? What does Eric 3.5 look like to be able to navigate this change? And so I think that we have to kind of have both and.
Wow. So, Marlon opened up the hot take section for this conversation. So we're going to take a pause and get into hot takes. And so with hot take section, we want you to hear your most controversial thoughts on AI that may not be mainstream. And Marlon's hot take was that, hey, your managers don't know what they're doing in AI. So you may need to do your research and lean into being an entrepreneur, right? And taking advantage of that gap of opportunity that you can add value to your company. So thank you, Marlon, for that hot take. I'm going to start with the hot takes and I'm going to pass it around. So looking forward to Taylor and Liz jumping on this conversation as well. So my hot take is that AI and Web3 is digital reparations for the Black community. And why do I say that? I say that because with Web3, we have crypto, we have blockchain, we have smart contracts, we have AI, and we talk about 40 acres and a mule. But if we understand the power of Bitcoin mining, and real quick, you can actually mine Bitcoin at your home on smaller servers, on existing devices, even on your phone. I have an app that's mining Bitcoin as we speak on my phone. And so that's an opportunity for us to get residual income. But the thing about it, if we capture this opportunity now, Bitcoin is going to grow, Ethereum is going to grow, and other tokens are going to grow. So that means that we'll be able to reap rewards that our ancestors left behind, or that was taken from them, rather. If you look at the advance of blockchain and smart contracts, you have a smart contract that can actually put people together that don't know each other, that are not on the same page. And before you know it, a smart contract manages that relationship. So I don't have to trust you. I don't have to know you, because everything we do is operated in a smart contract. So again, my hot take is that AI and Web3 is digital reparations for the Black community only if we take advantage right now. Microphone, who's next? Who want to jump on hot takes?
Hey, okay, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, Taylor, you got the mic.
Okay, so there's a saying, what good is it for a man to gain the world but lose his soul? And in my opinion, AI is pushing us towards losing the soul. There are so many children and adults who can't even have open conversations with each other. They got to rely on ChatGPT to get them a response to the other person. Like,
Mm-hmm.
that's very relevant. We are losing our soul as people. And then how do you tell your neighbors who have to live next to AI data centers you're okay with their lungs being polluted? I've been to Memphis. I've seen the data centers, and I've seen how they're putting particulate matter into the air. And they have increased children's emergency room admittance for asthma conditions in Memphis right now due to XAI's data center there. And then they're trying to build another one. So to me, it's just like, I understand that AI can be used to advance us in many ways, but at the same time, I'm not going to look at my neighbor and say, it's okay for me to put this hyperscale data center in your backyard and pollute your drinking water and pollute your air, where I wouldn't have to live with that. You know, so for me, when I'm looking at Landover specifically in my community in Prince George's County, we just had a deal with Colin Kaepernick done with the Prince George's County Public School System
Yes,
to
I
use
saw that.
Lumi. Yes, so they're using a system called Lumi. And I appreciate that. I'm glad that Kaepernick stepped in and he's helping the children in our communities to be able to storytell, because storytelling is very important and vital. But less than 10 miles away would be an AI data center at the Landover Mall site, and those children would be dealing with the implications of their data center. So I just think we need to weigh all sides of the coin. I think we can't just say, let's go forward with these hyperscale data centers because it's going to make us trillions of dollars, when we
Okay.
know that the Black and brown communities aren't going to benefit from the trillions of dollars as much as the white communities.
All
So
right.
I just want us to look at everything.
All right. Thank you. So hot take is going to be a quick blur. Thank you. That's powerful. Everything you said can be supported, documented. I've seen some of those outcomes. Next hot take button. Next person.
I'll go. I was just gonna go there and say that ultimately AI might be a tool of white supremacy, but I won't go there
You said it
quite.
already. It's on the record. Keep going.
No, I think that we are living at a time when if you go over to X, formerly known as Twitter, right now, you can see CSAM material that has been produced by Grok, right? And this is someone who has been given a contract with the U.S. Department of Defense. Now, I'm
Hmm.
not anti-technology at all. I met my husband on Instagram. Okay, we are talking remotely through the. I work in a remote office. I am absolutely 100% not against technology. I'm all for it. Okay, that kind of stuff is concerning. And like Dr. Tressie McMillan Cotton says oftentimes in discussions about artificial intelligence, why? Why? Why do we actually have to do things this way? But as a reporter, I would say that AI does not threaten journalism as much as the refusal to invest in journalism does. Okay? You need people in my newsroom, for example. It used to be that you would have enough people in your newsroom that you could sit with someone and brainstorm the headlines, okay, for the story. And you might actually come up with something that was a little bit punny or a little bit different or that you weren't even thinking about at all, right? But when you're using a large language model, that's a different experience. You can still come up with a good headline if you prompt it enough, right? But it takes a little bit more time. But I think that there's just this thing of how many people knew that some of those photos of Nicolas Maduro being taken from Venezuela were deep fakes.
Hmm.
Not a whole lot of people did. And so I think that this is going to actually raise the stakes for why we need to invest in our newsrooms. As Black folks, we are used to the media lying back and forth, up and down about us, right? You have folks over on X asking Grok, is this true? Grok, is this true? Does Grok know? Really? So if Grok says it's true about black folks, does that mean that that's the law? Right? So I think we have to be very careful about how much power. There was just a video the other day about a guy who was filming himself asking ChatGPT how to spell the word committee. And he says, so it spelled it with 3 T's. And he says, no, it has 2 T's. Oh, I'm sorry, you're right. Then he messed with it. He said, actually, no, committee has 3 T's. Oh, I'm sorry, you're right. So this is the thing. You need stuff to verify. And this is where I think the education piece comes in. People need to be trained, but these deep fakes are so good that even folks who work in photography cannot tell. So I think it's actually going to make it more clear why you need trained journalists, why you need newsrooms, why you need someone who is going to go sit in the barbershop and listen to the conversations, because the AI can't tell you what the black folks in the barbershop are saying. But I bet you one things for certain and 2 things for sure, the folks at the Washington Informer can.
Hey, there you go. Beautiful plug. Beautiful plug. Shout out to the Washington Informer and Greater Washington Black Chamber for hosting this event today. So next hot take. I want to get all the hot takes. I want all the juice, all the sauce, all the tea. So we have, I think, Sydney's up next, and then we have Eric.
I'll get one more too.
Okay, my hot take. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead, Sydney. Go ahead, Sydney.
Okay, my hot take builds off of what Liz was just saying. I think that, okay, so going off of the statistic that you mentioned about, like, I think you said 89% of college students, using AI. I think the danger in AI comes from being reliant on it to do your critical thinking or do your writing for you. And frankly, I think it's unfair that some of us are actually doing the actual work and doing the training to, become a better writer or something. And we're also paying to be here just to have like AI do our work for us. So I think that you should have to, and it also, there comes with a caveat in like who makes the test and like who passes it, of course, and like what the training and resources are. But I think you should have to pass some sort of test or certification to get access to using AI, because then you will know that like you have the skills, but then you're using it as a tool just to build on like your existing skill set, and that kind of makes you like worthy of accessing that privilege rather than just relying on it to do your stuff for you.
That's juicy. Okay, Sydney. Okay, we got some heat in here. Okay, Marlon. I think Eric and then Marlon.
Okay, yeah. What comes to mind is that there are lots of promises about what could potentially happen with AI as far as benefiting the community. But I think my hot take is that AI on its own is not going to close the equity gap. It really takes intentional design, and without that intentional design and people, human intelligence being able to advocate, AI can scale inequities that already exist.
Wow, beautiful, beautiful. Marlon, you can close it. You started us up. You can close us out.
Correct. So I got you. All right. I can't say which one of my companies are already working on this, but I'll say this. I've been very, very good at predicting what's happening next, and I've been very, very bad at predicting when. But what would happen is you will be handed on your next job, you'll be handed your badge, your computer, and your AI assistant to do your role. By the way, the next interview and stuff you're probably to have, the first interview would be with an AI voice agent. Probably the second and third too as well. Everything. Going back to what Howard said, man, what a technology, what an opportunity if you can start to build your own AI agent on the blockchain to take with you job to job to job to job. And having your own knowledge source. Close out.
That's powerful. That's powerful. And again, I want you to expound a little bit, Marlon, because again, I'm a teacher. Tell us why the AI agent that travels with you from industry to industry is so critical, but so powerful. Because we never had that concept, right? We talk about institutional learning and knowledge-based learning and things like that, but man, go into that, brother.
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, I think what's going to happen is that companies are going to start to develop their own AI agents in departments, teams, individuals, and everything, which is fine, which is, I understand everything. But once you leave that role, that agent stays there. Now, what an opportunity, and if you can build your own agent and then you can take with you and give the company access to, as you're doing your work via LLM and stuff where it may be. Now, watch this. What if you leave, you decide to go for another job, but the company says like, hey, we actually need some more work done. Fine, I'll assign you guys my AI agent. Get paid per call.
That's a bar. Listen, y'all. Listen. So again, if you don't know what AI agents is and want to understand AI agents, I'm gonna just point to Marlon and Eric. They're doing amazing work in the community. Again, I literally work side by side with Eric, and we have an event coming up where we're training businesses in AI, called AI Vibes on January the 27th. You can go to our Instagram and check it out. So wow, that is a powerful statement. And I think we do need to be very knowledgeable and curious onto how some unique ways that we can look at using AI agents. An AI agent is something that actually works in the background and is based off of your knowledge or data that you feed into it. So imagine having a clone of yourself that's able to actually do tasks and get things accomplished. That's exactly what an AI agent is. I'm gonna throw something else in the mix, Eric, and he knows me good for this. Uh, how do you use AI in a really interesting way that has changed how you work? And tell us the platform you use to do that work. I know I threw it on the spot, so I'll go first to give my panelists a moment to think about that really quickly. But for me, and this is actually a spoiler alert, I actually have created an AI agent or a protocol in ChatGPT and Claude that actually sources grants, not just for you, but it sources grants based on if you have a teaming partner, if you're applying for a grant as a prime or a sub, based on your region, based on years in business, a lot of different factors. And I'm going to show you all how to develop that right after this call, after this panel discussion. And so that's how I use AI. As I understand that a lot of businesses are struggling with funding, but if they understood that, hey, a lot of money is left on the table from grants, and you can use grants to grow your business infrastructure wise, to prepare you for exponential growth in the public and the private marketplace. And so going back to the same question, the question is, how has AI, give me a protocol or a use case in the ways you use an AI to transform how you work, and tell us the platform you use so you can point us to that same solution.
Yeah, I
Hey,
kick us off.
Copilot.
Oh, go ahead,
Oh,
go ahead.
sorry.
Go ahead, Eric.
The
You gave the
Copilot.
demo. Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Hold up one moment. Well, ultimately, I leverage Copilot. I think there's so many different types of conversational AI. I think that, for me, just being able to have a conversation to the point of having that historic conversation is key. Copilot consumer has the ability to also see the world. And so if I go to a place, if I'm looking at something, Copilot can see that and give me context. And so I think that just being able to talk to AI is something that has transformed my workflow. And whether it is, ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, et cetera, they're all adding the modality of leveraging voice so that you can have a real-time conversation that could be multiple minutes long, and being able to have that context. So a lot of times people have a challenge with prompting, but I encourage you, and I think something that I've really had some gains on is just having a conversation with your AI.
That's great. That's great. Anyone else want to give one? You don't all have to, but if you have something to add to kind of give us more experience and awareness, please share. And now we're going to the next one. But anyone else want to pop in?
I'll pop in. I definitely think that there's a myth that journalists are using ChatGPT to write stories, and every once in a while you see that out there where there's some mistake that's caught because some random newspaper did that or whatnot, and they didn't get it right. But I don't think that that's actually what journalists are doing for the most part. Not saying that that doesn't happen, but I think instead what you might find within journalism is that people are using it to analyze data sets. Again, you can use it for your headlines, for generating social copy, but none of this stuff you have to have someone review it. Like, for example, we know that SEO has been important for a long time with the advent of AI that's changing a little bit, in digital media, but that's search engine optimization for folks that don't know. So I might be able to ask Gemini, for example, or ChatGPT, can you analyze these 3 headlines that I thought of and tell me which one has the highest SEO that's going to be most searchable, or most people are going to, find that out there on the internet, because I don't want my reporters' content, they're reporting their articles to, be the forest that falls in the tree that no one knows it, right? So that's a possibility to do that. There's other tools that are out there too that are on, sometimes people don't realize that they're using AI when they are. Like if there's a couple of sites that you can just pop the headline in there and it'll analyze it for like the sentiment. Is it negative? Is it positive? Like that sort of stuff. That is AI, and folks might not necessarily know that. If you're using, spell check is an early form of artificial intelligence in a lot of ways, and people don't realize that. I think, I've seen reporters use, Gemini or ChatGPT. They'll say, okay, here are the questions that I was going to ask this source. Is there anything that I'm missing that, given what you can, tell from, what's on the web or whatnot on this particular topic, that I should ask? Now, here's the thing. Again, we forget the human touch with stuff. That used to be stuff that you could ask your editor, right? But now with the shrinking of newsrooms and the defunding of newsrooms, that's the thing of it. I used to be a teacher. I taught in Compton, California, CPT, love it all day, every day. I know that education is about a relationship. Journalism is also about relationships. And so there used to be, I don't know if you all remember this back in the day, there was this whole thing about a video about a box around education that you put the kids in front of it and they would just learn, right? But then they found out it actually didn't work, that you needed the people to guide them. And I think it's the same thing with AI. Whatever it is that we're doing, we have to remember that people have to be involved, because otherwise it's like those cold deep fakes. You like the bunnies jumping on the trampoline, but then you're like, is this real? I like your cat
Okay.
video.
All right. Yeah, that cat video is going viral. Uh, Marlon, I know you was going to start us before we pass it to Eric. Do you want to hop in there and give us a use case and a protocol how to use AI?
You said me or Eric?
Marlon.
Oh,
Yeah, Eric went already. Yes, Marlon.
okay. Yeah. Yeah. I'll start off on the developer side and I go some top level.
And also, you're gonna close out this part of the conversation, and we're gonna have a 1 minute for everyone to share who they are and how to get in contact with them. So you're gonna have the final talking point about this topic.
Well, let's do this one then. Howard, keep yourself unmuted. Yeah, go ahead. My Wi-Fi. All right. So basically, I made a phone assistant in ChatGPT. They will place calls on my behalf. And so what I'm going to do, I need to just give it a prompt and I say like, hey, can you do me a favor and call Howard to see when he's available for lunch next week? I want burgers. I'm available Thursday. Let me know when his earliest convenience is, and let him know that I'm in DC and everything. And so I made that in ChatGPT it's a custom GPT that you use as a custom script that is connected to Blend.ai. So you guys shoot me a DM and everything. I can kind of give you a video walk through it. But think about that process of like using that as an assistant, using that as, just, to help make phone calls and everything for your business, for your family, for your staff and everything, whatever it may be, anything. And I built that probably like 2 years ago, on that element.
Wow, wow. Well, I know Eric. I know his mind is spinning because Eric he does it. He has a
We
similar
got
function.
collab,
He was
man. I
trying to show
got a
you
few
all
things
that.
too there. So we got to talk
Yeah,
offline on that. I definitely think that's the wave as far as conversational AI.
yeah. So, audience members, first of all, we got some amazing feedback in the chat, y'all. Like, we have 90, I think I saw 92 notifications, and we have some amazing stakeholders in the conversation. So, we're going to open up for conversation for those in the chat. I know we have a moderator and a producer. So, is there any way you can scan those questions? Do we have the capacity to do that? And so I see Arnold wants to connect with Eric, so he dropped his email in there for Eric. I'm looking for questions in the chat, so I do want to give our chat an opportunity um, to respond. And so our producer, I know Jada was there a moment ago. Do you have those questions? Because I'm seeing some of these questions in the chat.
Wait, can you put
Um,
that one back? That
but
was
how
a great
about
question.
this? If you're in the chat, can you throw your questions in there as we start to go around the circle, and we'll take a moment. If you post a question in there, we'll address it. But we are going to start to wrap up because we have a session after this. But yeah, so we can go around the table. Sydney, since you're the student, the youngest, and they say the prettiest first. So we'll let Sydney go, and then we'll go around the room and just close out. Maybe just 30 seconds on again who you are, what you're working on, and how can we contact with you.
Thank you. Yeah, so I'm a third year student at Howard University. I'm studying journalism and environmental studies, hoping to be an environmental reporter. I'm the editor-in-chief of the Hilltop. So if you guys have any like pitches or story ideas, things that you're working on, we're always happy to highlight, Black successes or things that are going on in the community. definitely read our work. That helps us out a lot. Follow us on Instagram at the Hilltop HU, and I'll put that in the chat as well. And I'll put my email in my LinkedIn if you guys ever want to reach out. I'm always looking for ways to connect and just opportunities to build on my portfolio. So thank you for having me so much today. I really appreciate it.
A wonderful job, and shout out to you representing the HBCUs. I'm an alum at HBCU, so you made me very proud. So thank you very much, Sydney. All right. Next, please, next we'll go around the table and keep it moving.
All right. Again, I'm Taylor Frazier McCollum, and you can follow me on Instagram at TayloredFM, TayloredFM. And we'll be hosting a meeting this Saturday at Bladensburg Library in Bladensburg, Maryland from 1:30 to 3:30 p.m. to brainstorm ideas on how we can move forward with the No Land Over Data Center movement. And I just really appreciate the opportunity to be here. Thank you guys so much.
And thank you, Taylor, for being the person in the room to really empower us on the implications, because we don't hear this conversation a lot, Taylor. And Eric and I, and I'm sure Marlon is in a lot of rooms, and we don't hear those conversations. So we should definitely be aware as we develop. So thank you for adding that's an invaluable aspect to this conversation. All right, next up, we got Liz, Marlon, and I think Eric is left.
I'll go. So I'm Liz, as you all know, Managing Director of Word and Black. I've been there since 2022. We are Black America's Digital Daily. And also we have a research lab. We have a research report actually just certainly coming out about organ donation in just a couple of days. And we are also NAACP Award nominated. They had their very first ever journalism awards. And so February 28th, we'll find out. You can reach us at Word and Black News on all platforms. And if you want to come and holler at me, you can always send me an email if you work in the space and you want to write an op-ed for this. I'm liz.cl@wordandblack.com. And if you just want to, chat with me personally, I'm Los Angelista XOXO on other platforms. So, but it's been a real pleasure to be here and engaged in this. And thank you again to the Washington Informer, who is one of our partner papers at Word and Black.
All right, thank you, Liz. Up next.
Yeah, Marlon Avery. I am Marlon Avery on all platforms, so you can reach out to me there. So I'm Vice President of Applied AI at JPMorgan. Also run a company called AI Impact, where we do workforce training around AI implementation. And so if any of your staff, organizations, schools feel like you guys need to get a better understanding of AI, feel free to reach out to me. And also, I run a company called VoicePath, where we build AI voice solutions for small businesses.
All right. Thank you, Marlon. I'm looking forward to getting that lunch with you, because you didn't finish inviting me, so I'm looking forward to getting lunch with you.
Well, I'm here now. I live here in DMV.
All right, cool. Yeah, so we're going to make that happen, man.
I look forward to connecting as well. Eric Brown, excited to be a part of this conversation. This has been very insightful, and I think hopefully you are able to gain something from it. So technologist, mentor, coach, you can find me on all platforms, Eric Brown Jr. _ I put in the chat my LinkedIn's primary place to get in contact. And in the season, I think it's time to build. And so whether it's at the enterprise level or startup, small grassroots type of scenarios, I'm happy to reach out and collaborate. I think really it's about building together. And I think that context matters. And I learn just as much from every engagement as I share. And so looking forward to collaborating this year.
All right. Thank you. All right. So again, everyone, it's been an honor to monitor this conversation. This is probably one of the best conversations I've had in a while. And Eric and I, we had these panels in person and virtual often. So I just love the way that this plays together. Shout out to Raj and shout out to Simone for doing the amazing lift behind the scenes and pulling us together. This has been a 2.5 month endeavor, us trying to work on this. So we wanted to give you all your flowers. Thank you to Washington Informer for allowing me to moderate and represent the Greater Washington Black Chamber of Commerce. And shout out to Aisha Bond for the work that she's doing and leaning into technology and being an advocate. One announcement that Aisha probably left off is that we are actually looking for members for our tech committee for the Greater Washington Black Chamber. I'm currently the chair, and we're looking for a co-chair and also committee members that will help to socialize AI, to support small businesses, and also just think of interesting ways that we as a community should be engaging with AI. Taylor, you'll be great to have in that conversation to keep us aware of the other side. One thing that we often do is look at the upside of things, but to have a contrarian in the room to kind of challenge what we're looking at and give a different perspective is always necessary. So if you're interested in joining the Greater Washington Black Chamber, or even not joining the chamber, but just being on the tech committee without a member title, feel free to follow Greater Washington Black Chamber. They have the information in the bio on how to contact them. And so I think I'll turn it back to our moderator before we go to the next session. Again, shout out to the panel, one of the best. Yeah, happy 2026.